Welcome to heCast, the official podcast of HeChangedIt. As always, my name is Mike Chisholm. As always, I am excited to be here and talk with awesome people about awesome things in the world of men's wellness, mental wellness, all sorts of wellnesses that we are trying to encourage when it comes to being a man these days in 2021 and beyond. I'm so excited. We're approaching our year anniversary with this thing. And it's been such a great experience watching the team build HeChangedIt has been amazing, but also just from a personal level, building this podcast audience, building the repertoire, the friends, the conversation that we have built this last year. It's been so much fun. And I love it. Every time that we have somebody who's a reoccurring guest. We've had 2 or 3 reoccurring guests here, and today is going to be another one. If you haven't downloaded HeChangedIt yet, what have you been waiting for? Download the app, please. Check it out. Start to contribute. Start to be a part of things. You ain't seen nothing yet compared to where the app is going to go, but we are so excited for the folks who have already kind of latched onto this thing and the support that they're bringing this beautiful men's mental wellness app called HeChangedIt. For the podcast itself, for heCast, if you haven't shared or subscribed us yet, please do both. If you wouldn't mind, we would appreciate it. Leave comments here and there. And if you want to talk with us, we have a community inside the HeChangedIt app. That's where I spend a lot of my time, but we're also, we got websites and landing pages and all sorts of stuff happening in the background. So I'm just really excited as to where heCast is going too. As I mentioned earlier, we have a reoccurring guest. We have a second, we've got Jacob Newton 2.0. Jacob Newton 1.0 was in episode 41. Was it 41, Savannah? Yeah, we were episode 41 when Jacob came on, and he talked about where he went. He was a former pro hockey player, even spent a cup of coffee with the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. We're not going to hold that against him, even though I kind of like their crosstown rivals. And Jacob talked about just a beautiful story about what he has learned in his journey. And how he had really gone down through this this journey of exposing who he is and letting truths come out, and how that affected him, and just the freedom that he was finding in that, and in his family. And he's got an interesting family situation, to say the least. And where we left off with him was that he had just gotten a job selling cars, and that's what he had taken the focus off of his podcast and some of these other things to kind of ground himself a little bit. And Jacob, you are back, and we are going to talk about the next chapter in your story.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So again, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. All the people in the background, thank you so much for your efforts here today and for being with us. We kind of left off me talking about, of course, my journey, but then, what I've been doing now. And yes, I was in car sales. I'm no longer in car sales, and I'll explain kind of as this podcast goes along on the why I'm no longer in car sales. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, if you'd like, I can hop right into it.
Well, before we do, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support that you've been showing HeChangedIt along the way. We appreciate that. It's neat having supporters who aren't regional. And I mean, if there is no more middle America as to where you are now, I don't know what middle America is, but I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of the entire organization for your support for HeChangedIt and what we're doing. And one of the things that we love to do is tell stories about the things that we go through, because these experiences give food for thought to what we as men are going through, and this is where those iron sharpens iron situations, and you reach back out to us and have some iron sharpening ability in the form of your story. So yeah, let's continue on so you started the car sales thing, and there's been some abrupt changes since then. I know in May there was some sort of an epiphany or a turning point. I'm really looking forward to hearing where you're at, man.
Yeah. So, real quick before I hop into that. So like you said, I played hockey professionally. Yep. I played 7 years in Europe. My final 3 years in Europe was me being divorced now, still obviously with my 2 kids, me going away. So I'd spend 9 months away from my kids. Right. Yeah. Fast forward to the summer of 2020, last summer, I'm no longer playing hockey. I'm home. I'm spending so much time with my kids, but all my money is going out and I don't have any money coming in. I'm thinking, I should probably get a job. right? So I figured let's hop into some car sales, or at least apply. I can talk to people. I think so much of car sales is being able to communicate, connect with people. It was a little bit of a challenge at the beginning with having to wear masks. Not being able to see people smile. Yeah. Not everybody is eye smilers, Yep. And a big part of connecting with people is being able to see them smile. So it was a bit of a disadvantage, I guess you could say. But anyhow, was in car sales and I was crushing it and I was doing really well. I was selling all the vehicles, making some good money.
What kind of brands?
Chevrolet.
You're a Chevy guy. Okay. Yeah.
New Chevrolet, but then obviously we have a used car lot as well. So I actually wound up selling more used cars than I did new.
Sure. How about that new Corvette?
Oh yeah. The mid-engine Corvette.
It looks like I saw one the other day drive by. I swear to God, I thought it came from Italy, you know?
Yeah. I hear you. They're beautiful, but they're very rare right now and they're in extreme back order.
Oh yeah, no kidding. So you picked a good old American brand, jumped into the Chevy sales. We're diving into it. We're crushing it.
Yep. Yeah, we're doing really well. But the father in me, the parent in me was just like, wow, I essentially ended my career because I was done being away from my kids. I didn't want to be away from them anymore. And now I'm home, but yet I'm still away. I'm working 60 hours a week. I'm working every weekend. I pictured myself in the future when my son is playing hockey. On the weekends, he's got games, or my daughter has graduation and things like this, and I'm not able to attend because I'm selling cars. Yep. Like, there's no passion in the selling of the cars. There's just purely a way for me to make money and therefore support myself and my kids, right? Gotcha. So I learned a lot about the business and what you have to be willing to do in order to make money, and it just was so not in line with who I am as a person. Yeah. You got to consciously almost be willing to take advantage of people in order to put money into your own pocket. And you can
to excel at it. If you want to excel and just purely move yourself forward or whatever, it compromised. It sounds like it compromised a few things. It compromised integrity stuff there for you. And then it compromised the balance that you so desperately want with your family.
100%. Okay.
I hear you.
And I remember so vividly I worked a Friday night, which would have been April 30th or 31st, however many days were in that month. And then Saturday was May 1st. And May 1st was the day where this thing happened. And so I'll hop into that now. My mental health had started to lessen because of what I needed to do at work in order to make money. And then on top of that, being away from my kids, my son asking me, Daddy, why can't you just stay home? Oh, buddy, I can't. I can't make a person feel like they don't have a choice. I always had a choice, but I always chose to go and make money. So anyhow, May 1st comes, I'm at work. I'm miserable. It's been a long day. I haven't sold a car. And I remember my last customer, I was running around for 3 hours. The people behind the desk knew we couldn't get this person a car, right? I knew we couldn't, but we're still trying. And then the final car I showed them, I just said, guys, you know what? You don't want this car. Please just go home, save up as much money as you can and be on your way. Don't deal with these businesses, right? Yep. You don't do that when you're trying to sell cars. But that was like it for me. Anyhow, I get home. I'm with my kids. We're having dinner. Everything's great. I put my kids to bed. My brother-in-law and I are just sitting on the couch watching TV. Yep. And again, like I said, my mental health, I was stressed a lot more. My tension, my nerves, everything was up, right? Him and I are sitting on the couch watching this TV show, and I start experiencing something within my body. What exactly it was, I do not know. I've never had a panic attack. I've never had a heart attack. So I don't know exactly what those things feel like, but I have heard kind of what a heart attack feels like. You get numbness in your arms. Yeah. So anyhow, my brother-in-law is sitting there watching the TV, having no idea what I'm experiencing because I'm calm. I'm in the moment, but I'm feeling these sensations in my chest. I can feel something happening in my heart, but I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what it was, the scientific term or whatever. Right.
But there was something physical there.
There was something physically happening to my body. And I'm very aware of my body. I'm very much in control of my breathing and all these things, Yeah. So it was crazy because the thoughts that were taking place in my mind, it was like the future was taking place in my mind and then it would happen. Right. So like in my mind, I was reaching over and grabbing my brother-in-law by the arm, telling him to call the ambulance because I'm about to die. it hadn't happened yet, but because it happened in my mind, it wound up happening. Right. And it was, again, it was a very, very weird experience. So I wound up getting to that point where, again, I feel my whole body kind of going numb. I don't know what in the heck's going on, but I'm still so calm, which is kind of mind boggling in a sense. So anyhow, that is what happens. I reach over and grab my brother-in-law on the arm, and I look at him and I say, his name's Stevie. I said, Stevie, I love you. I want you to please tell my kids that I love them. Tell Harper, tell Nash that I love them. I think I'm dying. I need you to call the ambulance right now. And this has never happened in my life. I've going back to my career, I've done all the EKGs, all the heart tests and all that stuff. And in my EKGs, I did always have a lot of feedback. So I've seen heart specialists. I had to wear a heart rate monitor for 24 hours. And at one point, my heart rate got all the way down to 25. And for 4 seconds, I had no heartbeat at all. So I'm used to having a very low resting heart rate, which is very common for endurance athletes, you know.
Yep. Absolutely.
But again, nothing ever happened throughout my career that would make you think I have a heart issue. You know what I mean?
Yet this experience happens, and the first thing your mind goes to is, okay, it's time. And I mean, I'm so super glad it wasn't your time.
Yeah.
But also, the moment that you thought that was happening, it sounds almost devoid of fear.
Yeah. Well, I'll get there, because the fear thing is insane, because you'll understand why. So again, I kind of want to tell the story kind of, because I remember it so vividly, right?
Let's do it, man. Yeah.
So again, I tell him, please call the cops. He's not understanding. He's probably, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean call the ambulance? What's going on with you? Because again, I was sitting and I wasn't moving or anything, you know, I wasn't freaking out. So anyhow, he winds up calling 911. I'm on the phone with the dispatcher, and I work every single day on conscious breathing, being in the present moment. I speak so much about the present moment, about being in control of your breathing and what that can do for your state of mind and what that does throughout your body. So again, he calls 911. I'm on the phone with the dispatcher. I've got my hand over my heart. I'm slowly breathing. I'm in control, and I'm rubbing the couch so I can feel the sensation of the couch underneath my hand. Okay. So again, here I am breathing. I'm on the phone. I'm telling the dispatcher everything I just told you about my career and the EKGs and the palpitations and things like this. One thing she told me, which I later found out is not common for a dispatcher to tell a person. She told me, of course, the medics are going to come, but you don't have to go to the hospital with them, which I guess is not a common thing. So right there, she let me know that I have a choice, which all too often in life, people forget that we always have a choice, you know? So again, here comes the medics, 3 men coming in with their masks on, COVID, you know, coming in with their masks on, right? They hook me up. They've got things going on me. Again, everything I told you, everything I told the dispatcher, I'm telling the medics, right? I'm here. I said, gentlemen, I just want to thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much for your time. I'm with you guys. I'm right here with you. They hook me up. My vitals, everything is perfect. But again, as they're doing this, I feel my left arm going completely numb. I feel my right arm going completely numb. Then the gentlemen, they're talking to me, anything out of the ordinary? No, guys, I'm a healthy person. I tell them, I do the breathing. I'm vegan. I've not been sick in 4 years. X, Y, and Z. Yeah. They said, okay, I mean, you can come with us to the hospital. We'll run some more tests on you. And that's when I remembered back to the lady telling me that I don't have to go with them. In that moment, I said no. And that was such a profound moment for me, because I've always been a people pleaser. It's so hard for me to say no to people based around the sexual abuse that I went through as a child. Yeah. So me standing up and saying no to these men was like a spiritual almost death for me. And that's kind of how I'm viewing this whole scenario, was that if I would have said yes, and again, like I told you, in my mind, the future was kind of playing out. Yeah. Had I said yes to these men, they were going to go and take me to my death, and I was going to go and die. If that was really going to happen or not, I truly don't know, guys. But I know what was very real for me in those moments in my mind. And as we know, your mind is everything. Your mental health is everything in life. And so again, I kind of what it was for me was, yes, I've done so much shedding. I've done so much healing, but I was still living a lie. I was still living a lie. I was still doing something that I wasn't passionate about, but getting on Instagram and saying for people to go and live their life, go and live your highest self, but I wasn't doing it myself. And so the universe, or whatever you believe in, presented me with an opportunity. Now we're going to present you with life or death. And it's coming down to you and your choice, fear or love, truth or more lies, right? And I decided that I was going to stick up for myself for, I guess you would say, really the first time in my life, my adult life, and say no. But it was crazy how the fear kept trying to come back into my mind. Fear kept trying to come back in and say, actually, you are going to die, but you can't die in front of your kids. So yes, let's go with them. But I just kept into my breathing. I kept in the present moment, and I kept in the sensation in my hand and saying, no, this is not how I'm going to leave this planet. I'm saying no to them. And then eventually they left. And that, essentially that's kind of like it. But again, for me, it was such a profound moment because again, I wasn't out of control. I wasn't panicking, but I can feel the numbness in my body. And again, I'm a healthy person, and random things happen to healthy people. So again, this, for me, I thought I was on the edge of death, but I did die that day. I did. I had a spiritual awakening or a spiritual rebirth, however anybody wants to word it. They're free to word it however they want. But this one, for me, was my whole life's journey in this one moment. And the universe, God, again, whatever you believe in, presenting me with one more choice: love or fear, truth or more lies. And I chose love, and I chose my truth. And that's why I'm here today.
Okay. So I just got to say something now. Number one, you don't know exactly what it was, this event, this physical event that happened to you, the physical event that turned into a spiritual event, if you want to call it that, or a light bulb moment. Imagine as men, imagine if every decision that we made, had that filter that you had there, that filter above it saying, okay, yeah, so if I go with these people, I'm going to die. And it might be a metaphysical death where, yes, I'm going to give in to society and let go of what I really am and standing up for something. Imagine if every decision that we made had that filter over top of it. And you making that decision to let them go and to not go with them. And regardless as to what physically was happening to you, the empowerment that you seized in that moment, I can feel it. I can feel it through the camera right now.
Oh, and again, that's what, I couldn't tell you what scientifically was going on, what a doctor would say. Had I gone, would I have really died? Guys, I don't know. Yeah. But in my mind, that me going there was me going to death. So I could have gone there, and who knows what would have come back. I don't know. But again, that lady on the phone letting me know that I had a choice, I think was kind of what led me in a sense towards standing up to these men, because again, going back to my childhood, when I was sexually abused by my cousin, he said, if you go and tell, your mom and dad, I'm going to beat you up. So I was so afraid to stand up for myself for so long in my life. Yeah. And again, this moment presented me with that. And I'm just like, so grateful. I'm so grateful for what I experienced. And I guess I would do it over again, because 2 days later I had to go to work, and I was going to work from 9 a.m. until 9 o'clock at night. Yep. And I was thinking, there's no way I can go through what I went through and then go and live a lie again. So I just decided that I'm done. I'm not going to be working there any longer. I want more time with my kids. I'm going to tap back into hockey and coaching, but I'm going to take a month off. So I just took 5 weeks off of doing nothing but just being a father and being an uncle. And I feel amazing. I had started to dip back into some old habits, things like that. Yep. On my journey, I think that's a part of everyone's journey. We're always going to have setbacks, but it's a choice to stay there. And fortunately for myself, I made the choice to step back into my truth. And I just feel so dang good and amazing. And just overall grateful for what I went through.
You also going through a geographical change as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I moved to Cleveland. I don't know anybody here. Of course, I'm meeting people as the years go on. But I'm very excited that my mom, my eldest sister, her 3 kids, and my other nephew are all moving here to Cleveland. But it's so interesting, Mike. I remember when I first got home from my final season, 2020 now, I was living in this duplex.
Yep.
And it was a bigger one. And on the other side was an identical place. And in my mind, I said, and I spoke this out loud, and I've also spoken it to other people, because my story, my family members have the same story, and others. And I said, my vision is to have my whole family move here, and we, as a family, go down the path of healing together. Wow. And here we are. Again, a year later, my mom, my sister, 2 sisters, and all of my nieces and nephews are coming here, and potentially another brother might be on the way in the future. I don't know, but it's just kind of fascinating to me that I spoke it, I said it to other people, and then here it is now kind of manifesting. Super cool. Just a beautiful experience. Just really grateful, like I said, for it all.
Vocation wise, do you have anything lined up yet? I know you said you're going to get back into hockey and all that. I don't know. Are the Cleveland Barons still around? Like, what are you looking at doing?
So actually 2 of my nephews, they both play hockey. One's born in 2009. One's born in 2012. They were out here, I want to say 6, 7, 8 weeks ago for tryouts for the Barons, and they both made the elite teams. So they're both here. And then just yesterday, I started back doing private one-on-one trainings and group trainings on the ice, that is. But I was actually thinking, like I talked about before we started recording here, my younger sister is going through her own beautiful journey of healing. And I believe she'll be coming here to move to Cleveland. And I had this thought that her and I would start a podcast together. She's just 11 months younger than I am, Irish twins. And again, she's got a very similar story to myself in terms of our childhood and the things that we experienced. And now she's on her own path, and we talk a lot more now than we have. And we're right there together, and I'm giving her a lot of insights, and she's teaching me about the things that she's learning. And it's just beautiful. So I'll probably just coach. But most importantly, I'm going to have a lot of time for myself to continue loving myself, and then ultimately getting to be a parent, which there's no better feeling in the world. And it's just something that I take great, great pride in, for sure.
Well, Jacob, I mean, we don't know each other that well. I mean, had a couple conversations on camera, and then also some behind the scenes stuff with he and some of the things going on. But one thing that, the impression that I have from you is, I mean, when you talk about some of the past and some of the endeavors that you've had when it comes to, the podcasting and coaching and all these things that you want to be, is you want to be somebody who impacts the lives of others positively. There's no question about that.
100%. And I think I would be willing to say that this would be true for every soul on this planet. Once you go through some type of healing and you realize how good it feels to heal yourself and to put in the work, you want that for everyone. And so once you reach a certain, peak along your journey, that's all. You just want to be of service, and that's all I want. Of course, I'm going to need to make money in order to take care of myself and my kids and provide meals and pay the bills and everything. I just want to be out there. I want to speak. I want to do podcasts. I just want to be of service in whatever way I can. I feel great. I love myself, and I want other people to love themselves, because the more you love yourself, the more you're aware of the love that's out there, and you don't get so lost in the fear and the lies and the things that take place in the external world.
And I think that when we have an audience of guys who listen to this who aren't living their purpose, their truth. I know we got into this last time a little bit, but I mean, it's just, this is that concept on steroids, because you were literally faced with it in a moment of realization where you were put right to the brink and made that decision to live authentically in that moment. And since then, I mean, your life has drastically changed since then. And you're not scared. You don't have scarcity here. You don't have some of these trepidations that many men are feeling living the lives they're living right now. They're feeling that scarcity, and even the idea of change is paralyzing and terrifying. And I'm not detecting any of that in you right now. And I'm wondering if it is because you are living so authentically and being the same person, no matter who the audience is, and you're really exposed at this point.
Yeah, 100%. You know, like we've talked about in the past. My story's out there. And I don't hide things. There's no need for me to hide things because what's the point in hiding? Who am I hiding from? If I'm lying to you guys, I'm hiding from myself. You know, and I think for everyone out there, so many people are just so comfortable in their misery that they're willing to stay there because the fear of going towards the unknown is that in itself. You don't know what it looks like, but I know what my misery looks like, and I've kind of lived like this my whole life, so I'm willing to stay here. But just know that like where there is fear, there is growth. You know, you got to be willing to go towards that fear, and you're going to realize really quick, wow, my mind was telling me all of these crazy things about what this was going to be like, and for the most part, it never winds up coming to fruition. No. Good example. So my, like I said, my brother-in-law and nephew have been living with me. My brother-in-law works like a madman. He's incredible. He works 70 hours a week. And so I'm an uncle most days too. Right.
Yep.
And so I need to work out. It's great for my mental health, my spiritual health, my physical health. So I try and get into the gym as much as I can. And the gym that I work out at is not like a public gym. It's a big sports complex, so it's open for teams, right? Yep. But they allow me to go in there. So anyhow, I always bring my son when I go there and my nephew now, and they like to be boys and run around and make noise and everything. Yep. And every time I'm showing up to the gym, my mind is always telling me that I got to control these guys. They can't be running around screaming, doing all the things they're doing because these people are going to get mad. They're going to scream at me and we're never going to be able to come back, right? So as I'm driving to the rink, I'm stressing myself out by believing these crazy thoughts that I'm having, right? And then I get to the gym, all the things happen minus the consequences of what my mind was telling me. You follow me? So again, your mind's going to tell you all of this stuff. And in the end, it's your ego, it's your subconscious mind. But you got to have empathy for yourself because you got to understand that your ego and your subconscious mind, which is the same thing, it's just trying to protect you, right? That's all it knows to do. So all the stories that are created in your mind are just stories to protect yourself. But you got to be willing to push past that if you want to get back to love and get back to your highest self.
You know, it's funny. It's not that our mind is evil, but left to its own devices, our mind will lead us to destruction.
Every single day. If you're not aware of it, it's so fascinating because I've been talking more about this stuff on my Instagram. Like, how often do you see people walking down the street or in the gym with their headphones on, right? Yep. But they have to rewind or they have to go back because they missed their favorite part or they missed the whole song. Yep. So if you have your headphones on and you're in the gym, chances are the volume's high, right? And if you're missing your favorite part or if you're missing a whole song, how are you missing it? Right? Because you're listening to something else, which is the thoughts that are running in your mind. And if you're listening to them, if you can hear them, that means you're what? You're not them. You're the awareness behind them, right? So all of those thoughts that are always going, they are not you. You're the awareness behind them. So anytime you attach to those thoughts, it leads to the feeling, which then leads to the emotion.
Well, you know, and I love the idea of marrying the concept of being able to control our mind in the way and taming our mind in the same way that we would tame the rest of our biological body. You know, you don't want to be overweight. You got to exercise and you got to watch what you eat. Right? You want to get bigger arms. You gotta manipulate things, whether they're kettlebells or weights or whatever it is, to get your arms bigger, or your muscles bigger, whatever. Our brain is the exact same fucking thing. Like we gotta, we can control our brain and teach it and hone it in the same way we could do it with our bicep.
Yep.
But we don't talk about that enough. And so many folks are literally, if you let your body go and you're drinking Yoo-Hoo and Cheetos all day, no offense to Yoo-Hoo or Cheetos, they're both great. But if you just let it go and you literally let yourself go and become that, your body is going to run rampant and it's not going to run properly. But our brain is the exact same thing. And how many of us right now are allowing the environment around us, the polarization of politics or of what's going on with this pandemic or all of these things. And we're just letting our brain, we're not controlling it. It's like a dog off a leash. We're letting it just go. And that's that destruction that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we got to seize control of our thoughts when it comes to that and those pathways. And it's not an evil way. Like we talked about, I said earlier, it's not that your brain's evil. But at the same time, it's got to be disciplined properly. It has to be controlled properly.
Yeah. And then again, people don't understand that they have that, they can have that control. And it just starts with the choice. And one thing I wanted to say in terms of choice, it's my belief that if you haven't gone through some type of healing of trying to change your mind, it's my belief that nobody has a choice and nothing is your fault.
Yeah.
Because the experiences that you've gone through in the past, again, the last episode, we talked about the subconscious mind and kind of how that's programmed from the moment you're born until 5, 6, 7 years old. That you're running on a frequency, your brain is running on a frequency called theta, which is a very low frequency. You're essentially in absorption mode. So everything you're seeing, everything that's being spoken to you eventually becomes you. And if you aren't aware of that and working on that, you have no choice in life. You're
on autopilot. You're literally on a subconscious pathway autopilot.
You're a computer. You're not human. You are not human because you got to understand that it takes work to be human. And being human is not for everyone, unfortunately. We live on this planet of billions of people, and not everyone is meant to wake up, unfortunately. And so those people, if they bring joy into your life, bring them on in. But if they don't, if they're toxic, you have the choice to remove people from your life. And it doesn't matter if these people are brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers. And I know that's harsh, but if you remove that label of brother, sister, mother, father, would you allow these people to treat you the same? And if they're adding toxicity into your life, you have got to remove them or keep them where you need them in order to protect your own energy.
I've done a lot of soul searching on this very topic, and I think I got something to contribute here to how you feel about this, because I've got a situation where, and we're about to release it. I actually did a podcast with my father. I've talked so much about my dad on this podcast that I felt that I owed it to him to at least, talk to him about it and make sure that everyone understands. Oh no, I've got permission to say this. My dad had anger issues growing up, and since his early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Kind of crashed into the wall and had an awakening. And now he's almost 70 years old and he's a completely different guy because of these things. And one of the things that my dad said to me as he was going through his journey, and this is when he was still the angry guy and there would be lashing out and there was improvement, but it still wasn't where even close to where he is now. And he would say to me, he goes, Michael, you have the ability to cut people out of your life. And he almost said it with a little bit of edge. He was saying it in a complimentary way that I'm able to kind of protect myself, but he also said it with an edge. And I said, Dad, you're my dad. You're always going to be my dad, but I'm going to set up healthy boundaries. And it's not even a matter of, the black and white cutting people out. It's just setting up healthy boundaries with these people that we have no choice that they are our family, but we do have the choice as to how we will deal with and react to the things that they give to us and bring to us. And if we've got to put up a boundary of an invisible force field, so a lot of those words, a lot of those intentions, a lot of those actions don't infect us, that's what we got to do. And that itself is the story. I've had to set up boundaries with my family, and you can use that story to help others who are having similar challenges. And hopefully we get to a place where some of those boundaries can be relaxed or can become removed completely. Like with my dad, you know what? even if he has a moment where he kind of goes back or whatever, I'm in a safe place with him, and those boundaries have been removed now. And isn't that a skill in itself? The types of boundaries that we create, either with family members, with friends, with the culture around us, with peer pressure, with all of these things. Is there a better skill out there? I mean, loving yourself and all that, but is there a better skill that we could have than creating healthy boundaries?
Well, and I mean, what you said right there about loving yourself. And I think in society, people would see what you were doing as selfish, as self-centered. But once you realize it's nothing but just self-love, you're choosing to love yourself more than you are willing to allow somebody's energy to come in to affect you.
Yes.
Because everything is energy. And like we said, everything is the mind. Yes, you love your father, and you're always going to love your father, no matter what he does or has done. Here you are still loving him. Why? Because of the amount of love you have for yourself. Right. But if you didn't have that love, you couldn't see him for the amazing soul and the amazing person that he is.
Well, and we brush it under the rug, like what you're talking about when this do I stay at that car lot where I'm literally having my soul crushed every day because it's the easier thing to do, and you just brush it under the rug and you just allow it. And the harder choice many times is the much better choice. There's a stand-up comedian that I listen to, and I forget, it might've been on Seinfeld's show or whatever, but he was giving it, him and Jerry were talking about something. And that comedian said to him, he goes, you know what, whenever you're in a situation where there's a choice, the harder choice many times is the best choice. Mm-hmm. But we live in a society that where that kind of gets thrown out the window, and we don't necessarily have at the forefront the idea of telling people that the harder choice is the one to take, and loving yourself is a big part of that. Yeah,
100%. And I think people are so stuck in always betraying themselves and then blaming themselves. We've been taught to blame ourselves. We've been taught to betray ourselves. And so it's all we know. And so doing the other thing, we've never done it, so we don't know what it looks like. So we just continue the cycle. It's just a never-ending cycle of just continuously hating ourselves, discriminating, I guess, against yourself. And I was thinking about this earlier in terms of trying to change your mind.
Yeah.
If you're not actively choosing your thoughts, every thought that you have that's going to come into your mind is going to be based on the past. Yep. So if you want to create a different future, I can't remember if we talked about this last time. Again, if you want to create a different future, you have to consciously change your thoughts, and you have to stick with it, and it's got to be consistent. And unfortunately, it just doesn't happen overnight.
No, and it starts with awareness. It's not just changing your thoughts, but being aware of your thoughts, being conscious, as opposed to running in that stream of unconsciousness, which I mean, I'm guilty of it. And it's something that I try and fight as much as humanly possible. That's that presence you're talking about, where we have that constant state, and we're at least aware with what our thoughts are, not just what we're doing, but why we're doing it. Yeah. Am I just doing this because I'm on autopilot, or am I doing this because it truly is what I want to be doing? And like you in that moment, I mean, how hyper aware were you in telling your brother-in-law to tell your kids? Like, Jesus, that's a piece of awareness there that, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever experienced an awareness like that before.
Well, yeah, it's just fascinating because, again, if you don't have the tools. Again, we talked about it last time in terms of always telling men and all people, suck it up, move it on, let it go. But you don't have the tools to do those things, right? Yep. And I've learned the tools of how to be in the present moments. And sometimes it's not easy. I still get angry, right?
Sure.
We're always going to experience anger, and I still get triggered.
Yep.
My kids, they still trigger me. And I've made beautiful connections on why they're triggering me, and kind of where it's all stemming from. There was something I was going to say, but I've lost it. And I think you remember last episode, there's sometimes I forget things, and that's
no. That's cool though, because I want to talk about the trigger though. Like how beautiful is it though? We talk about awareness, right? When you get triggered, and you become aware that you're triggered. Yeah. Like, and it's happening almost like you described it in that slow motion where time is almost slippery. Mm-hmm. And you recognize the fact that, oh shit, what I just said was a result of being triggered. And you actually have the ability to recognize it and to walk yourself back from it. and flip around and create a different outcome due to being triggered. Mm-hmm. And that awareness can happen like that. And I mean, I've experienced that too, and I've watched my dad. My dad's a great example of that because, when he gets triggered, his initial response for the first 30 years of my life, I'm 45 now, first 35 years of my life is when my dad got triggered, rage showed up.
Yep.
And it's crazy to watch him because he still gets triggered. Someone cuts him off on the highway, right? And I see him get triggered, but it's like that Matrix, Neo suddenly realizing that he is so much faster than the rest of the world around him. Yeah. And what he does is he takes it and he unpacks it and turns it into something and makes a joke about it. And suddenly the emotion that would have been rage is now laughter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the more you work on your awareness and the more you practice being in the present moment, the more you do it, the quicker it is to come back to the present moment. Yes. The quicker you can recognize that you're in the trigger, come back to your breathing or whatever practice, whatever skill you like to use. Yep. And then boom, you're right there. And it's so beautiful. Along my parenting journey, for my kids, they decided, like my daughter, she drew a picture of me breathing and then put on top of it breathe and plastered it on the refrigerator. And so sometimes when I'm in my anger and when I'm in my trauma, my kids will tell me, Daddy, breathe. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you guys are angels, but it's still, even with that, it's still so challenging. And one thing I wanted to talk about, going back to my childhood and the sexual abuse that I experienced. Yeah. Again, I didn't get any help for 18 years, right? But I would imagine there were so many times for me screaming out to get help, screaming out to get love, but not feeling, being heard. Yeah. Right. And so now here I am as a father and me trying to have these beautiful conversations with my kids about choosing love and not, meeting chaos with more chaos to amplify the chaos, try and meet the chaos with some love and you might get a different result. And they don't pick it up right away. And it upsets me because I feel like I'm not being heard, just like I was as a child. So I was able to make that connection. And then through that, I'm able to have a lot more patience with them now. And of course, I still have my moments. We're always going to have our moments. But me being able to make that connection was like another shedding. I shed some more. It's just crazy how my kids are like my teachers almost in a sense now.
I love that. It's funny. We just had it hasn't gone live yet, but we've got a podcast where I'm doing a little do with another podcast out there called Dad Up.
Okay.
Dad Up with Brian.
Yeah.
What's that?
I saw the post about that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it was a great podcast, and we'll be putting it up. And one of the things that he said, so it's a podcast for dads by dads, and Brian's a phenomenal dad, and he runs a fantastic podcast. And one of the things that he talked about was he said kids spell love Time.
Oh yeah.
And it's wonderful kind of hearing where you're talking about this extra level of patience. And that's what we need for them is to give them that time and to give them that, because that's what patience is, right? It's given more time. It's given more grace. It's given more of that. And I love that turn of phrase that he had. He's writing a book right now. So that's got to be a chapter in the book there, Brian. And it just, I love where you're coming from. When you reached out to us again about where you're at and whatnot, I could feel the vibration, and I can feel it through this camera right now, how high of a level that you're on right now. I just want to say congratulations, buddy. I'm glad to hear that things are moving forward for you when it comes to that. And the lack of fear, the lack of scarcity, all of these things just lead to more empowerment for you. And I'm so grateful for you, Jacob, that you're moving in this direction.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's, I think there's this misconception on professional athletes that we all have all the money in the world. But I never had a career with the Ducks. I never had a career in the NHL. So I don't have a lot of money. People might think I do. I don't have a lot of things. I'm a minimalist. I could pack up my house in probably 2 hours and be out of here. So I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot of money, but I just have a lot of love. I have a lot of consistency, a lot of respect for myself. And again, I'm always going to be a work in progress. So maybe just a message for people out there that are clinging so tightly to the thought, if I have X, Y, and Z, if I have all the money, then I can finally be happy. But it's just not true, because all of your problems, your issues are going to follow you no matter where you go. Yeah. Right. So here I am standing in my truth of not having a lot, but I'm able to wake up and stay consistent in my self-love routine. And I feel optimal and I feel great. And I know that one day the lack in certain areas is going to manifest. And that's what I'm manifesting currently in my meditations and things like that. And It just feels like it's very, very close. And I'm very, very excited. Life is just so magnificent. And again, once you awaken to the beauty within, it's so much easier to see all the beauty that's out there.
I know exactly how I'm going to close this conversation. They go by so fast. Time is slippery when we do these. Right. But I want to give the opportunity again. Now, have you lit up, podcasts, social media, all these things yet? If people want to reach out to you and this amazing energy that you have, and they want to follow you, where's the best place to do that currently? And of course, as things progress and as you build more things, we'll be the first ones to help publicize it. But right now, if somebody wants to reach out and follow the progress that you're on and the journey you're on, what's the best way to do it? Yeah,
it would be just on Instagram, JACOB.NEWTON5, Jacob.Newton5. I might not be for everyone, and that's okay. Because if I'm not for you, you're free to unfollow me or not follow me at all. I do put some stuff out there that people might not agree with, but it's always just going to be my truths and my opinions. It relates with you or it doesn't. I just try to stand in my truth as much as possible. I'm actually going to be posting a video about a low moment in my parenting journey. Yep. I don't want people to always think that it's always, love and light all the time. I experience the low moments, and I try and put that out there too. And so I experienced the low moment with my daughter, and I made a video about it. I'm not proud of what I did. I'm very proud of the conversations that took place after. Yep. And so I'm going to post that on there. So I do a lot of, you'll find out if you choose to follow me. But Instagram is going to be my only form of social media
at this point. Okay. And redoing podcasts and things like that, probably coming down the line.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to dive deep back into coaching hockey. I want to fully embrace that. And it's so beautiful because I'm doing a lot of lessons with younger kids. And so I've got younger kids. And so I ask them what their favorite shows are, and they always tell me, and I know what shows. And so I act as if I'm a character from those shows, and I get so much more interaction with the kids during the lessons. The closer you are with kids, I believe the closer you are to God and the closer you are to love. And this journey, me going back into hockey, is getting me closer to being with kids, and they're just so pure. And I think as adults, we need to get back to our childlike selves.
That's a great way to end it right there, because I think that our childlike selves hold a lot, in more ways than one, hold a lot of secrets as to what it will take to be fulfilled. And I mean, you can take that any way you want it, from having a childlike faith or wonder in how you look at the world, all the way to, hey, let's dive into those things. Childhood trauma is childhood trauma, whether it was sexual abuse or whether it was the way that someone talked to you on the playground during those formative years. Childhood trauma is childhood trauma. And when we explore those things and recognize some of the things that happened and how it developed us into who we are now, we can really have a gateway into where we can go from here, and why we tick the way we do, and how we can seize that and maybe change the destiny a little bit.
Boom. Not much more to say there, brother. Like you said, I think that's a great way to end it, my man.
Jacob, listen, hey, you talk about the progression thing. One thing I love about this, where we're at right now, is that we can continue on with people to see their progression. The first episode 41 was phenomenal. And you talking about what you did, I think we've continued it on really, really well here. And I mean, that's what HeChangedIt's all about, is us finding a place that we can share our journeys. We've got the app now, of course, that's grown that much more since, I don't even know if it was even available when we did the first podcast with you. So thank you very much for being a part of our journey. Thank you for letting us be a part of your journey. And as you progress, we're going to keep doing this. And I can't wait to hear what the next chapter is for you, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much again. Truly grateful for everything that you guys do, everything that you are. And I just, very much looking forward to the future. I want to own my own business, my own, I would love to build like a Finnish style sauna here in America and try and teach people the beauty of cold immersion.
Oh my God. Yeah.
A part of the Finnish sauna culture is cold immersion. And so I would love to guide people down there and teach people about the power of the breath. And
I'll be one of your first customers. I try and get in my infrared sauna every day, and if I had a cold plunge that I could jump into right after, I would. In fact, I got to settle with an ice cold shower, which isn't cold enough as far as I'm concerned. So you're preaching to the choir, and you know what? I think we might have a topic for the next time we do this.
Love it. Perfect.
Jacob Newton, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being another part of heCast. We love these conversations so much. I hope that anything that we say here can give you some food for thought, some awareness as to where you're at, and that you can move forward in the direction that you want to move in. And everything is temporary, and it's our responsibility as to what we do with the situations that we're in. And that's what we want to be, as a community where we help each other in those situations. That's what HeChangedIt is all about. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, what have you been waiting for? Go download it. We would love the share of this podcast. We would love to subscribe. However it is that you saw this, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on the Apple or the Spotify, whatever. Thank you so much for the support that you have given heCast. We feel like we're part of a wave that's about to break, and it's so much fun being a part of this. So thank you very much for the opportunity to host heCast, the official podcast of HeChangedIt. My name is Mike Chisholm. Go change something.